back. Welcome to Innovative Strategies with Bill Hasse. Innovative Strategy is a show designed to help people with their business and personal financial literacy, but not in the way that you have known. This is not your grandpa's financial literacy, as Bill uses his 30 plus years in the financial industry to stretch your financial box from, let's say about a 30,000 foot view of things. Bill and his guests have helped hundreds of clients achieve and surpass their financial goals. If you have any questions, please email Bill at billhasse, that's Bill at billhasse.com, or reach out to him right here at 216thenet@gmail.com. Today, understanding the financial benefits of benefits. And we'll just fade that music out because it's just gorgeous.
Hey, what an intro. What an intro. Thank you, Kent. Great to be here again this week. Great to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Lots of good things happening. We're getting to the end of summer, though, but I do love fall. But I just hate what comes after that.
Yeah. Well, it's gorgeous. Here in the Midwest, we are all about the seasons, and it's great sleeping weather right now.
It is. It's great sleeping weather, and I love the change in seasons because then there's a change in the foods that we eat and that we make and everything else. So it's a nice little change. But we have a guest here today, Mel Blatt, who is the founder and CEO of Indie Pop. And we're here to have a conversation about one of the most exciting things that anybody can talk about.
Riveting.
That's health insurance. Now, I know everybody start falling asleep thinking, health insurance is not, this is like anything else. We got the crickets going. But, it's an important topic. And It's an important subject. It's a costly one. Everybody out there who thinks they're going to retire early don't realize that, if you retire before the age of 65, what are you going to do for health insurance?
Yeah.
That's a big expense. And today we have Mel Blatt, who's going to help us understand maybe it's not as big as an expense as you would think it is.
Cool.
So welcome, Mel. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you. Good morning. I like fall as well, guys.
And we know you're caught in that terrible town of Austin, Texas.
Right now, I'm in Austin. I'm originally an Arizona gal. So we really don't, we have a little bit of fall, I guess, but the summers are very long.
So it's it dropped to 95 for the fall? Or?
Yeah, I put a sweatshirt on under 80 degrees.
Well, you can put your Iron Maiden shirt on then.
Yeah, Iron Maiden is performing here in Austin. But I grew up in Minnesota, so I know cold.
And you do?
Beautiful falls. Yeah, beautiful fall in Minnesota. So thank you for having me on.
Absolutely.
And, I agree. Nobody comes to me and says, guess what I got to do today? I got to look for health care. It was so exciting. It's something I think most people procrastinate about because it's just so hard to read through plans and know which one is, right for you. And right. I was no exception. A few years back when I left the corporate world, I was then faced with the challenge of, oh, wow, I have to get my own health care. And that's when I had this, learning moment or sticker shock also was, wow, health insurance is really expensive when you're out on your own.
Yeah, people don't realize that. They find out when they lose their job or they leave their job and they have a choice of going to COBRA, which most people don't realize that COBRA is allowed to overcharge. Is that true?
From what I understand, it's mandatory for 18 months that a company that has provided healthcare that they have to then offer a COBRA option for you. And this is the price that they're paying plus 2%. So
yeah, okay. I thought it was plus 5%, but yeah, it's plus 2%. Okay. So you're overpaying.
And if you think about that, then you really understand what your company was paying for your healthcare. At least for me, I was like, wow. And the older you get, the more expensive insurance gets. So
right. Well, throw in a spouse, throw in a couple of kids, and it starts adding up more and more.
The average family that we speak to spends $1,500 to $3,000 a month in premiums.
Wow. Yeah, yeah, 1,500 is getting the cheap version of health insurance. I spent a very short part of my life selling health insurance, and I did not like it because everybody wanted the cheapest policy, but they wanted it to cover everything, but they wouldn't pay for it, so they would buy a cheaper policy. Then it was like, well, my doctor's not in this, or I can't see this specialist, or I can't see that person. And I go, but that's the choice you made. We went over that and discussed it, but because people don't really understand.
But think about that for a second, that how come we're dictated by a network and a plan for our most important thing in life, which is our health?
Yeah.
I mean, that's where, I struggled with this when I left corporate and I was on my own, and I said, I had, sticker shock about the cost of the deductibles were ridiculous for me. So I was in my late 40s, and it was an average between $5,000 to $8,000 for a deductible, which meant, if I had to have surgery, that's how much I would be spending, right?
Yeah.
There was another figure for the max out of pocket, which could actually be $14,000 for the year. So not only was I paying the high monthly, but then the worst case scenario was, something would happen and I would have to have surgery. But coupled with the fact that you just mentioned it, the skinny plans with the networks that were like, none of my doctors that they were in those networks. So where's the continuity of care there, where you have to start over then again with doctors? So I got really, really frustrated. And I guess you could say I got mad. And I thought, if I can find a solution for myself, I think I can help a lot of people. And I just went on a search in the healthcare industry. And what I found was outside of traditional insurance. It was a healthcare product that is not a typical insurance product, but it's still healthcare. So I see it as another approach to managing medical needs. And it's just not mainstream, but there are thousands to not millions of people that have been on these plans. And that's where IndiePop comes in. By the way, IndiePop stands for Independent Population. So these are people, not just the people that are retiring, not just the people that are getting laid off that maybe cannot afford their COBRA, the people that are, they feel a little chained to their 9 to 5 and they're like, I just wish I can go out on my own, but I need my benefits. The freelancers, the gig economy, the great resignation people, small business owners. I mean, this is a 60 million plus population.
That's tremendous. That's huge.
Yeah. And out there, if you're viewing social media, we've got the website up for Mel as well. So if you are listening and want to know more about what she does and how she does it, visit Indie. That's INDIPOP.co. So IndiePop.co.
Yes, check it out. Alternative methods. And this is important. And there's been a number of changes in this world. I mean, I know I've had my hip replaced twice, and I can tell you my experiences with the insurance companies were not good. Is it true, Mel, that I think a person has to go to school for 2 years in order to become someone who can code medical billing? I think it's a 2-year schooling system that they have to go through, and it is said that anybody who ever has a surgery, there's a 100% chance that the coding will be wrong. So and trust me, folks, the coding will be wrong, not in your favor. It'll be wrong, and it'll cost you more money.
And this also potentially could happen is if you have an emergency surgery. I like to use appendicitis because more and more people, especially younger people, they could have their appendix out. They think they're invincible when you're in your 20s, but I don't think anyone has a direct line to their appendix to say, are you going to burst today? How are you doing? And so that is, an unexpected surgery. And when you are, go into the ER, the last thing you're doing is probably checking the network for your anesthesiologist, your surgeon, and your hospital.
Yeah.
If you're in a life-threatening situation or in a lot of pain, you want to get that medical help as soon as possible. And then to find out that your anesthesiologist was not in your network, or that the doctor on call that night was not in your network, can be very frustrating then when you receive your maybe, the super bill 30 days later. And you have to really look over it and say, well, wait a second, I had insurance. I thought my surgery, my deductible was going to be, $1,500. What's this other $1,500? So this is where it gets very confusing for, just a regular human to go through
Right.
a massive healthcare system where all you really want to do is get healthy and get the care that you need. And these extra bills and networks can be not only confusing, but really frustrating and can cost people a lot of money.
A lot of money they may not have needed to spend.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And you're right. It is, because I've been through it personally. It is frustrating. You can't win arguing with anybody. Even doesn't matter if you're right. It just and it's such a confusing world, much like the financial world. We try to make it as confusing as possible so that you go see the specialists. But so what type of insurance are we talking here now that
Right.
you're out there doing?
So IndyPop has curated and we handpicked the plans that are on the IndyPop site. So they went through initially the Melissa test. And the test was things that I would entrust with myself, my family, and my friends. And then talking to this population now over 2 years, I understand more and more their needs, that really there isn't a one size fits all solution. There's not one unicorn plan out there that's going to help everyone. And there should be options. And traditional insurance is an option, and an IndyPop plan can also be an option. So the plans on IndyPop are all membership, subscription, health share model, which means instead of a premium and a deductible, you're becoming a member of the community or a group that shares the cost of medical needs. So you're not, managing the group to understand how many people are sick at that time having surgeries. No, you're paying your portion, and there's a fund that knows exactly, through the years, these are not new businesses in the last 2 years that have just popped up. They know, how many heart attacks usually happen, how many people are going to be giving birth. And so they have an idea of the monthly rate and then the out-of-pocket cost. The beauty of it, or I should say what really grabbed me, was the set amount of transparency of the amount you're going to pay if a medical need occurred. So when I talk about appendicitis and having your appendix out, going to see any doctor, any surgeon, any anesthesiologist on call that night, $1,000. That is a big eye opener to people that say, wait a second, that's it? That's what I pay?
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I pay. That's what you pay for the medical need. So that's much different than insurance that might have all these different fees or things included. No, your responsibility amount is going to be $1,000, and typically for the plans, it's going to be capped at $3,000 for the year. So that means you could have 3 different types of incidents. A knee replacement one month, and then an appendix removal, 3 months later. So it's $1,000 per each time.
I need to sign up for this because I'm going to have another hip job soon.
Yeah.
But
I keep jumping out of airplanes.
Yeah.
Right. This is interesting because it kind of reminds me. So you're in a pool, and that's typically how insurance works. They want to get you into a pool or whatever to reduce the cost because, you want healthy people there to cover make payments to cover the ones that aren't healthy. And I run into this, when you talk to people like a PEO, professional employer organization, and they'll always say, hey, we'll pool all of your employees in with the rest of our other companies, and you'll get a much better rate. And the reality is you can get that rate without doing that. It's kind of a trick.
Yeah.
They like to use, but in this instance, this is the real deal.
This is the model, right? This is the model.
Yeah.
And the PEOs are great because they could bundle your payroll and workers' comp and really take that break off, especially a small business owner. Like, it could be a great blessing to have something all in one. But I think now most PEOs, you have to have 5 people in your company to start it. So
Yeah, most
the ones and twos, they're not going to be eligible for it.
there are ones out there that'll take as little as one person. I don't mean to speak ill of PEOs. They serve a wonderful purpose, and there are ones that do international stuff. There are ones that only do national. And they do pool people together. And the nice thing about PEO is if you're under the PEO, your employees actually technically work for the PEO, so you are protected from any HR issues that might arise as a business owner. So they have that benefit. But let's stay on track with this type of insurance. So what is a typical cost when we say for a monthly cost for policy?
So there's 3 plans that IndyPop offers, and somebody under the age of 30, there's a plan that starts at $185 a month. So that's a pretty good rate that you'll have your annual wellness, you'll have mental health, you'll have 24/7 on-demand care, a great prescription plan, and the max out of pocket is $3,000 for the year. So that person that's turning 25 or turning 26 and going off of their parents' plan, this could be a really great option for them at $185 a month to also make sure they won't go into medical debt if they break their leg skiing or, they need that emergency appendectomy.
Yeah. And thanks for bringing up that 26-year-old, because a lot of people may not know that, that you can only have your kids under your policy until they're 26, and then they have to move on.
That's right.
They should be.
If we could only cut them off at that age 100%, it would be wonderful. But no, it's that's $185 a month. That's outstanding.
Yeah.
So, right. And then the family plans can range between $500 to I have the most expensive plan is up to $1,100. So, and that has there's different types where there's one that has chiropractic care. It also has vision and dental. There's, more things involved.
Well, if I wanted the best of the best, I'm looking at $1,100 a month.
That
roughly.
Is depending on
well, probably more for me because I'm an old guy.
Actually, though, I think $8.99 for you, for your family, actually, because I know I think I quoted you before, but yes, it just depends on. But it's for a typical family, $8.99, and that's for a really great plan that has your annual wellness, your 24/7 on-demand care, which I think the pandemic really propelled virtual health, where people were starting to become really comfortable saying, oh, wow, I really can get my medical needs met by talking to a provider just like this. Yeah. And I think it's 1,500 to 1,800 different conditions. And I've used it twice I was traveling in Miami and broke out in a rash all over my legs. I'm on one of my own IndyPop plans. I called the number. They don't put me through the whole, what's your group number, proving everything. Right. Access to, what's going on, Melissa? How can we help you? Okay, well, I have this rash. Can you upload a picture? I said, yeah, absolutely. We're going to have a provider call you back in a half an hour. Is that okay? Great. They did. We went through, a checklist. Obviously, they start with, have you touched anything? Have you been in anything new? I thought it was like sand fleas or something, But it turned out I was allergic to a supplement that I just started taking. And so they called in a topical steroid cream at CVS. The whole process was less than an hour, $0. And I picked up my prescription, less than $10. And just to frame everything, think about this when you're traveling. I didn't know where an urgent care was in Miami. I didn't know, I don't have a primary doctor there. So for me, the ease of an actual number of people that I trust that have my medical records was right there. And so it's a portable plan. If I relocate and decide to move to Austin, my plan from Arizona will come to Austin with me. It's going to work exactly the same, which is really great in this time where we're building remote teams, right? And
that's outstanding.
Exactly. You might need to put on, a contractor for 6 months. And what a great value add is to be able to offer 50% or 100% contribution to healthcare.
Yeah. Now, Mel, is that part of the Amaze app that you guys use?
So Amaze, we partner with Amaze. That is a $35 a month plan for the entire family. And that offers virtual primary care, mental health, and you have healthcare advocates. They have been amazing. Amazing. They really did build their company correctly. This can be used with any insurance, by the way. So if you want to supplement one of maybe your limited plan, regular insurance plans, this is really great for the whole family for $35 a month, and it works in all 50 states.
Wow, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Does it work outside the 50 states?
I think when you are traveling on vacation, it can, but not living there. And also it has to be, I think, different. Like, for virtual health, you have to be licensed in the state that you are, that the member is in, right? But all of the plans do work outside while you're outside the country while you're traveling, but not living there. So you have to be vacationing. Yeah. So
that's very interesting. I love that. Yeah. I love this whole idea because I know insurance can cost, easily $2,500, $3,000 a month, for certain situations and whatnot when you're older and maybe it's just you and a spouse, and you want to retire early. I want to retire at 59. Okay. Well, you've got 6 years of very expensive insurance. Yeah. And we have some great folks we've had on the show before, the Santos, Sally and Tim, that do a wonderful job with Health Markets and stuff. And I'll have to ask them if, they have this potential product or service available. But this is interesting.
So people are not aware, and that's where Indie Pop comes in, is I didn't even know how to search for these membership plans because you have to look for different things because they don't have the same language of premiums and deductibles and co-pays. So I had to really, each one functions a little differently and they all have, different processes, but the premise is the same. You're becoming a member of a community that shares the cost and needs. What it does, I think, is puts the patient back in a proactive place for healthcare. So it's not dictated by the network and by
the money machines.
Yeah, because these plans are open, they're open networks. So again, that already, I've had members go through this for knee replacements, hernia surgeries. You name it. They were able to go to the hospital and the provider that they wanted to go to. And that in itself is already feeling, a little bit more of, hey, this is the path that I want to go. This is the doctor that I would like to see. And to have the idea that it's only going to be that $1,000,
Right. So do you still carry a personal care physician?
Yes, you can have your own primary care physician. You could also use, each plan does have the 24/7 on demand or virtual health, however you would want to call it. And what I've learned in the last several years since I've been doing this is, depending on the age range that you shop for healthcare really differently. And you also are more apt, if you're younger, to say, oh, I'll use an app. I'll go through, I'll virtual care. I don't want to sit in a waiting room. I don't even want to see the doctor in person. Like if someone can, get me amoxicillin because I think I have strep throat via like this, that's, it's ease, it's flexibility, it's less time missing work. Think about in the middle of the night that you wake up and you're like, I think I have conjunctivitis. You probably would miss the whole morning of work trying to go to urgent care or see an optometrist to get your eye drops. Whereas this is in the middle of the night. You could be speaking with someone, go over to CVS, get your drops and get medicated.
Yeah, but we like the reasons to miss work. So
We
don't want to take that away.
That's right. Hey, you're listening to 21.6 The Net, and this is Innovative Strategies with Bill Haase. We've got Mel Blatt on from Indie Pop, INDIPOP.co. It's not South Asian music. This is indie pop, right?
Right.
individual population. And she has put together, and I mean, this is an incredible thing for individuals, for small business owners, for health insurance and benefits for not only you and your family, but maybe for you and your small business. And we've got a lot of small businesses that listen to the show here, Bill. With that said, this is always, no, I'm going to have you be a 1099 employee, Bill, because I can't afford the benefits. Or I can get you payroll, but you're going to be on your own. I don't have insurance. So, Mel, when it comes to that, what kind of things, programs, and plans do you have for small businesses?
Say I have 6 employees.
Right. So you have options. 2 or more create a group. So IndiePop also has the group plans through these our health partners. But you could also mix and match, and you could also offer it individually. And then
because that's my next question was, all right, say I have 6 employees, but I'm covered under my wife's insurance right now, so I wouldn't need it. I wouldn't need a second policy or pay for that. But I could still offer it to the other 5.
Absolutely. Right.
Okay, cool.
Right. Well, there's a W-2 there, especially like franchises that might not be able to, they'll have W-2s, but they're not required. I think it's over 49 employees that you have to offer healthcare. So there are many small businesses that literally cannot afford, if they offer healthcare, they might have to cut someone's hours because they can't afford to provide the healthcare options.
You're right, but you run into that the problem is you can't afford not to, because you got to keep your employees around. In order to keep them around, you've got to provide benefits, perks, profit sharing, all kinds of things, and it's still hard to keep people around. But this is very interesting because 88% of businesses in this country are small businesses, meaning less than 20 employees. Mm-hmm. So this is a huge market.
Yeah.
And this is something that small business owners, what do I want to say, fear because of the costs involved, and saying, I don't want to put out all this money, to provide these perks, these benefits.
Yeah.
What's that?
It's a pain point, a top 3 pain point, whether you're a small business or you're a 1099 contractor. This is something that you're thinking about, and that can be, frustrating or a challenge to find something not only that could be in your budget, but that's quality too.
Yeah.
There are plans out there that might be low cost, but is it really there for you when you need it? Don't have that surgery and then go, oh, I didn't realize in the fine print that wasn't included, or
and be surprised how often that happens. And I agree with you. What I really love is you took a need, then you turned it into a mission, and now it's a passion. Because I understand when I walk into a room to talk to folks about insurance, it's you get a lot of people yawning, and then people go out and they wind up not listening very well. And I hope you're all listening well here today, because this is important. And if you listen and you learn, we like to provide knowledge, and like I say with my Meta Ed company, we provide knowledge, which gives you options gives you freedom. But you need to learn what a policy is all about, what it can do for you, in order to compare apples to apples.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, though, here in the United States, we say, I have insurance. Here's my card.
Yeah, let me pull it out of the mothballs in my wallet.
And all I know is that through my employer, I have a $5,000 deductible. So really, I don't want to ever get sick or go to the doctor because, well, that $5,000 comes out of my pocket. So I put the price, and Mel, you said it at the beginning of the show, is people put, the price of the health insurance before their actual health. But that's the way that we've been taught here in America.
Or the fact that they're hesitating taking that ambulance ride or going into the ER when they really need to, because they're so worried about that medical bill, or putting off the preventive, going without healthcare for years and not getting any of their screenings or testings. I mean, we know that if we catch things early enough, the success rate that you're going to recover or heal is much greater than if you waited and then got later.
Let me say good morning to Scott Giles. Good morning, Scott. Welcome. You should have been listening from the beginning. I hope you have been, because this is something you need. This is something very important, and I'll introduce you to Mel Blatt after the show. But so a lot of people like me, a typical male, I don't have a personal care physician or primary care physician. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen a doctor in years. I'm not on any medications. I don't like taking any medications, but a lot of people say, well, that's because you don't go to a doctor. And I said, well, yeah, there's a good point. But I had the misfortune of having a hip replacement in 2009, and it got recalled a couple of years later, and I had to have it redone in 2019. But that's the only time I've ever had medication in a very short period of time. But because of the recall, I went into a special program. My doctor chose me, and man, they were checking me in every way, shape, or form you could. I was doing hour and 45-minute MRIs. Oh, wow. It was crazy. So I knew I was well taken care of during that time frame. Unfortunately, I'm not on that program anymore, and have yet to ever find a doctor, because it's hard. It's like, okay, are you in service? You call the insurance company, and I called up to get hearing aids. They said, go see this doctor. I went and saw that doctor. They charged me $300 because I was out of network. I called my insurance company again, said, look, you sent me to the wrong doctor. Right. They go, oh, go to this one. So I went to another one. Again, $300 out of network. Yep. I'm like, I can't even get you to tell me what's in network. And then they tell me they cover 50% if I do it out of network, mm-hmm. and they won't give me that money. I fought for a year, and I specifically went to the company and said, this is what I'm going to do. What do you cover? And they spelled it out for me. And then when I went back to get my money, they said, no, sorry. And this is a problems that we run into with these big companies.
And you're not alone. You're really not alone. I mean, I hear this story after story, and there is a place for insurance. There is. Yeah. It's just gotten really, there's a lot of, I guess, gaps and cracks that, especially if you're not savvy, and you did take it upon yourself to say, I want to stay in network, find me a doctor.
Yeah. I lost complete faith, and I won't say the name of the insurance company, but there's the big ones. And a lot of people here in Illinois, everybody loves Blue Cross Blue Shield. And it's like, okay, but Blue Cross Blue Shield really only takes care of the big clients, which are big companies, with many, many employees. They don't like doing those individual policies and dealing with that. And so from what I've heard, it's a difficult company to work with. That was not the one I was with. So I guess they're all kind of tough to work with if you're just thrown in the mix. But I love this idea, though, that what you've got.
I think that insurance carriers are seeing that this is a third of the workforce that they can be serving better. And it's just that when you have, an LLC and you have two people, or you have the 1099 one-person contractor, I mean, the gig economy is all about 1099 contractors. That this is an area that needs to be addressed. And that's where IndyPop comes in and says, okay, these are flexible plans. They work in all 50 states. They are affordable, but not only that, they have the quality, because you do have, they either call them member services, concierge care logistics, but you're not alone walking through a medical need. So you have a team there to help you navigate a massive healthcare system in case you do have a major medical, or like for myself, I had to go see an ophthalmologist several times. I had COVID in May, and then a month later, my left eye got a little blurry. And I thought I had a detached retina, you know, and it's very frightening when there is a medical need. Obviously, I didn't plan for any of this to happen, but they have been there for me every step of the way. And I know that if I do need like some kind of eye surgery, the most I'm going to spend is $1,000. Now, I've already gone to 3 specialists where I spent $50 each time. So that 150 applies towards my 1,000. So if I did surgery, I would only have to pay $850 if I did the math right.
Yeah. Oh, you're good with numbers. That's really interesting. I love that. Because it like you mentioned, you know, people, they're more concerned about the cost of the insurance than the cost of the healthcare. But when you get sick or you get injured, you don't care what the cost is anymore.
No, you just hope that it covers.
Like, I don't care. I want to get fixed.
So and I'll just go back to my personal experience with my eye, is that it started during the week where I was able to get in with a regular optometrist, which was great. And we went through all the major things that no, everything's really good. The weekend, it got worse. Of course, it happens on the weekend, right?
Always. Yeah.
There's really not a lot you can do. And I made sure I called the healthcare company that I'm with, and I said, this is what's going on. And they made sure that an ophthalmologist would be on call at the hospital that I was going to go to, and called the hospital and said, you know, Melissa Blatt is going to be coming in around 4 today. So they already were kind of expecting me. They never once said, oh, maybe you don't really need to go, Melissa. They were encouraging me. That's your eye. If you feel like you need to go, then this is what you need to do. And that is, you know, I spoke with a nurse practitioner. This was part of the team that is there. And by 4 o'clock, because the floater started to happen. I don't know if anyone has ever had problems with their eyes before, but it's very scary.
It is, yeah.
So I said, do I wait till Monday when, if it is really a detached retina, I should be getting treated as soon as possible to, so that my eye will recover
that's a pretty serious problem.
Anyway, I said, and I waited out. I'm like, okay, the most I'm going to spend for this visit is $1,000. And I'm like, it's my eye. Of course you're going to go. Why wouldn't I? And so, yeah. And I just want to follow up on this story. So they did an ultrasound while I was in the ER. And so I'll just say it. I'm with Redirect Health. They're one of the IndyPop plans. Mm-hmm. And Redirect then negotiated the bill, so it's under the $1,000. So no, I'm not even going to be spending the full $1,000 for that ER visit.
Wow!
I never saw a bill. It went directly to Redirect, and I got the care that I needed. So that's.
And most people don't know you can negotiate with a hospital.
Yes,
with my hip surgery, I called different hospitals to see what they would charge me and what I could negotiate for a price, and then went to the one that gave me the best deal.
But wouldn't it be better to have a company do it on your behalf that knows how to do it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'd
rather have somebody who knows what they're doing do it than me just trying to play a guessing game.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's interesting. I had never heard of detached retina until about a year or two ago. And I had 2 friends. They didn't know each other, but both of them had a detached retina within the same week. And I'm just sitting there going, man, I've never heard of this. And now 2 people I know have it at the same time. Life happens. You know, that's a lot what we talk about here and a lot about my businesses. And life happens and you need to prepare for it and plan for it. And you can. And this is a major part of the planning for it. What's the number one reason for people to go bankrupt in retirement?
Medical debt.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's and what's the biggest fear of anybody in retirement is that they're going to run out of money.
Oh yeah.
The second biggest fear is their health. And the funny part is the second one causes the first one to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, folks need to protect yourselves. That's a different world, right? Because we're talking about people in retirement and that's Medicare and we're not going there. That's a whole nother
So,
system.
so Mel, if any of our listeners out there go to IndiPop, INDIPOP.co,
Right.
how do they start the process? How do they join the group? How does that happen?
It is so simple. So you can literally follow any of the links and enroll in minutes. So we enroll for the upcoming month. So right now we're enrolling for October. There's a couple of deadlines with a couple of the plans, but typically throughout the whole entire month, you can enroll for the month coming up. The dental plan, by the way, if you go back or go to is you can use it immediately, and there's no age restrictions for that. So you can be over 65, and it works for implants as well. And there's a special promo. It's one dental is the one that I really. Anyway, so that you can use right away. Yeah, immediately. The other plans usually will start on the 1st of the month, and you'll enroll, and then you'll get a welcome email from the healthcare provider. Usually you're going to have to download an app, and then you can fill out your health information, the prescriptions that you're on, your primary care physicians, and you can start booking appointments for the month ahead if you'd like. Each one, like I said, has that concierge, that member services. So they're there for you. They're there to help guide you and want you to get the care that you need.
And this is a big time of year for you coming up, right? This is the big press.
Everything's looking because it's open enrollment, right?
It's open enrollment. Yeah.
We're open enrollment all year long. Yeah.
Yeah. But for like corporate folks and everybody else, the open enrollment is big, October, November, December.
Right.
And folks, you might want to look at what your out-of-pocket expenses are for the insurance that you have, and you might want to compare it to what you can get here.
Yeah.
I guess I'm really sold on the services and the ease of the services, the cost. I honestly believe that we could probably be saving money by going through IndiPop as opposed to that corporate employer. Right.
And what I've been stressing for the larger companies that I talk to, because that was never my intention to set up IndiPop for the large companies. My intention was that freelancer working month doesn't have a lot of options, right?
Yeah.
But then I started, IndiPop got referred out to different people. Hey, can you help? Can you do this? We're onboarding a lot of 1099s, or, not everyone is eligible for our insurance. Can you help fill those gaps? Yes. So you don't have to switch off your Blue Cross Blue Shield or Cigna, Aetna. You can have IndiPop alongside for onboarding and offboarding options, because not everyone's going to be able to afford the Cobra plan. And so IndiPop is a really soft place to land. They can come on that following month and stay on it as needed. And it works in all 50 states. So it's pretty cool.
And so if I'm a business owner and let's say I want to provide this perk and benefit to my employees, and I'm going to do it 100%. So I can have the individuals just go in and sign up, and they can there's a way for them to say, just bill this guy.
Right. So that's where we would work on. For the small companies I've worked with, they've actually supplied their company card to their employees, because the employee has to sign up if they have the Social Security, their, some personal information, or there could be on the back end an ACH automatic withdrawal every single month. And it could also go through payroll as well. So it's very flexible. There's a lot of options.
Yeah, because you gotta think. Okay, there's a tax situation there, right? For the employee,
right?
That's a paid benefit, so that's a taxable event to them.
Right, and especially the group plans, and 2 or more make up a group, then it's ACA compliant all through all 50 states.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to wrap my little brain around this, because obviously I have a great interest, and I'm starting a new business. I will have likely 4 or 5 employees to begin.
Right.
But that's going to grow, and I can add on at any time during the year.
Right. That's what makes it really easy for the company or the small business, because we really want to get you out of the benefits space and put you back into what you're doing, your work. You didn't want to, have 25% of the workday deal with benefits, right?
Right.
So IndyPop stays with you while you're a member, and there's no extra charge to becoming a member. There's no extra fees, and we help. On the back end, if you're working with one of the healthcare providers and want just an inside scoop or trying to get a hold of somebody within the company and not getting an answer, then that's where IndyPop steps in.
Can you do my payroll and bookkeeping so I can get rid of HR altogether? Or no, but still,
we know, which is healthcare. We added on the dental and vision because that was needed. I serve this population, so when they're telling me their pain points and what they need, I'm like, oh wow, I've got to find a good dental and vision option, which I did. And then now I'm white labeling a pharmaceutical company so that all the generic drugs with a $15 membership is basically $0. So this is really great for families that have several generic drugs, that it could be synced with their whole family monthly and delivered to them. So that was another need that I see. Also goes over the age of 65, so it could be used with any insurance. It doesn't matter. So this was a product or a plan that will work for pretty much anyone. And then my last passion project is mental health, because I talk to people daily that are struggling and they're on insurance and their mental health is not working for them. They're not finding the right therapist, or it's not covering sessions, or
you got to go through X amount of dollars before it'll start covering,
or they have to only go now in person. They can't do virtual. I've just been hearing this, that they're not paying claims if you're doing virtual, when most people say they're more comfortable now doing therapy virtually. They're in their own space. They are more comfortable, that less, that white coat syndrome. They're in, they can really be at ease. They don't have the driving time. So that's right. Thing that I'm constantly exploring is the different partnerships and different services to continuously add for this population that is not disappearing. It's growing.
Yeah, well, mental health is a huge issue now, and understandably so. We have been brought through the ringer the last 2-3 years, and we continue to go through it, and we will probably for years to come. But so it's such an important topic to be able to get that kind of care. I agree with you. I would, the time you have to spend to go to and from, the office, and you're missing work maybe, where maybe you don't have to if you can do this virtually, and you're more comfortable in your own home. I mean, most people own a couch, and if they want to lay on the couch or they want to sit in a chair or whatever, you do feel more comfortable when you're in your own personal surroundings. There's no question.
Healthcare should be accessible and affordable, not because, they say, well, yeah, you have to do it this way. Well, are you really putting the person first then? And their needs?
Well, we've been saying this for decades, to be affordable and accessible. We need to change. We know the healthcare system right now is not in good shape. And the one thing we know is most likely the prices are going to continue to go higher and higher. Yeah, they do. So you need to find alternative methods like IndyPop to help get you in the game and do it without harming your wallet, like some of these bigger policies that do. And not have the major deductibles, because especially if you're in a corporate world, or you might only have 1 or 2 choices or 3 choices of insurance policies, and nobody really understands what any of them really do. All they know is, okay, I think my out of pocket's $5,000, but then you didn't realize, no, it's $14,000 actually, as you brought up earlier. And people find that out. I found that out with my first hip surgery. I'm like, wait a minute, why am I getting a bill for this much? I mean, I thought I had insurance and I thought my deductible was $5,000, and I'm getting a $15,000 bill, and they're like, yeah, you got to pay that. Like, well,
oh, was there a question?
No, I was just saying nobody told me anything about it. I had no idea. I had no idea what the policy did for me, because I didn't study it. Right. I didn't learn it.
And that's just it. If you look at the monthly and you're like, oh, I can afford that. And then you're like, I won't have to use my deductible. Nothing's going to happen. I'll be fine. But always, and you're in the financial world, always look at the worst case scenario, because that's how you should be working towards, the actual plan, not the present day right now. But I want to mention something that is very different from traditional insurance to the IndyPop plans, which is the medical need. So I've been using this example since we're coming to the close of this year, is that if you break your leg in December, with traditional insurance, the following year, your deductible would start over again, right? Because it's a new year. With these plans, they go by medical need. So then in December, you break your leg, but January or maybe February, you're going to have to go into physical therapy. It's the same, you paid the $1,000 and it's the same continuous medical needs. So you're not going to have to pay that $1,000 again to continue seeing your orthopedic surgeon or going to the physical therapist.
Well, I just tell people, you break your leg in December, you're going to have to hold on until January before you see anybody, because we're not going to play this song over and over again. But yeah, that's a good point.
Sticks together, tie some rope around it, you'll be fine.
Right. Yeah. Just hold it like this for about 30 days and then we'll get you some help. Okay.
But no, you shouldn't have to. And you should get the medical treatment that you need. And so that's one thing that I think is very different than traditional insurance, is the way that a medical need works.
And I love this way better than Cobra. Remember we used to have the old Cobra game where you used to
45 days.
You had, I think it was like you had 3 months and you wouldn't pay it, hoping that you never needed to use it. And then and then you get down to that, 28th day on the third month and you need to go see a doctor. You get hurt, you got to go see a doctor. Then you got to pay back all 3 months.
Yeah.
That's a game you would play while you're trying to find another job. I know they changed the rules about that some years ago, but that was an old game we played back in the 80s, I'd say 80s and 90s.
No, it's still playable.
Is it still playable?
Yeah, it's still playable. Yeah, I think, so it's like 45 days. You have 45 days to say to accept it.
Oh, okay.
And then you've got 45 days to pay.
Okay.
So you do have that 90 days.
You do have that 90 days, but it's the game you play so you don't pay out of pocket.
Right.
Which is, it's risky.
Yeah.
You're technically, I guess you're covered. Do you feel comfortable with that? I don't know.
Right.
And now that I know I have an alternative option, because I love this, because this is stuff I don't know anything about, and I love learning about it. This is why I brought you on, because I know you're passionate about it, and we get to learn. And hopefully all the listeners are learning as well, that there's alternatives out there, because a lot of people are hurting paying that bill.
Yep.
And that's exactly what it is. It's an option that just people should be aware of.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I think there something like this, what IndyPop does, will change direction of people's thoughts. Right. So
hopefully
we're in that. We've been playing that game too. Right. So we've got a high deductible, my wife and I, and I know that I need I need a procedure. So that's cool. And
you getting your face redone again?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was going to do it in October. That's what I had planned to do this procedure in October. Well, then I started coaching my daughter's travel basketball team, and we've got tournaments every weekend in October. So now I've pushed it to November, but then we said, well,
then you're going to run into that January deal.
So hey, why don't we just push this off? It's not a life-threatening procedure. Why don't we push this off till January or February?
And see, that's my answer for a broken leg.
Yeah. And
just push it off. Hold off.
And with IndyPop, we wouldn't have to play this game. Right. We would say, okay, yeah, November. That's great. Let's do it. Right.
January is like the number one month out of the year for surgeries, because you have your new deductible and you haven't used a bunch of that up or whatnot, but plus winter months around here. I mean, both my hip surgeries were in January.
Yeah.
But it was also in part because I didn't want to go through the changeover. I actually, when I first got my hip done the first time, when I went to the doctor for the first time about my hip, he just looked at me. He goes, "What, do you love pain?" And I said, "I do." Sure, doesn't everybody? Because he said, you're so far along, you need immediate surgery. I mean, he's like immediate. Normally he books 6 months out. He wanted me to get everything done in 6 weeks. And I said, well, wait a minute, that puts me in to like Christmas time. And then the insurance changes in January. I said, when can we do it in January? So we wound up doing it January 5th of that year. And again, it's your insurance policy forcing you to make financial decisions that you shouldn't have to make.
Well, Pete, good old Uncle Pete, had just started a new job, and he was in that Cobra-esque period.
Okay.
Going from one to the other, and ended up dying from COVID. But he probably waited longer than what he probably should have to go to the doctor.
Yeah.
Because of that game. And that's a sad thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah, these are decisions that we put ourselves in, and much of it is based on just lack of knowledge. Yeah.
And that's why I love what Mel does at IndyPop is you can get on there as soon as you jump on Indy, that's INDIPOP.co. You can chat with somebody live in live time to answer your questions, to help you think things through. The website's amazing. It's really there to educate you and help you walk through what normally no one does. It's like, okay, you're going to take the health insurance. Okay, which plan? Okay, good. Right. And we got you. Your cards will come in the mail.
Yeah, well, we've been looking at it. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
You don't even have to have the cards. With Redirect, it's an app, and my card is on the app.
That's
so
awesome.
I showed the hospital that, and they just took it. And then I can also email from the whole printing of cards for those of us that are a little bit older. This is what we've known, right?
Right.
Talk to somebody that's 27, 28. They're like, oh, this is healthcare as a service. And it clicks for them. They're like, oh yeah, this makes complete sense.
We older folks got to get used to modern ways and the way things are going. And I do know younger folks are more apt to use an app. Mm-hmm. Than those of us who are older, because my wife just changed jobs, mm-hmm. and so we got new insurance cards, and they're still sitting on my counter because I'm like, okay, I still have my old ones in my wallet, right? And the new ones are sitting on the counter because it doesn't mean anything to me because I don't know anything about it.
Right.
But so we're so thankful that you can come on this show and help introduce us to other possibilities and opportunities that can make our lives a little bit easier, save us some money. Everybody loves that nowadays.
Another quick question before the end of the show here, is we got 3 minutes. So I join and I'm in IndyPop. How often can I change, or should I take a look at changing the coverage for me and my family?
If you have a baby, obviously that's going to, mm-hmm. If you went from spouses now to a little one, that's a family now. So that's just not a spouse plan. That is a family plan. Obviously a divorce or a small business, you're adding some, people, then, on the monthly, you can do that. It's usually a 30-day cancellation to then drop someone from the plan.
Okay.
All
right. So
I would still recommend you annually just take a look and see what's available, because
yes,
things change quickly now, much more quickly than they ever have. It's like when I'm developing business plans, I don't go more than 5 years out because there's no point.
Right.
I always talk about that submarine story that Australia had a contract with France to build submarines, and they figured out that in 5 years, when the submarines are being delivered, that they would be obsolete.
Wow.
They would already be out of sync with what's going on, so they had to cancel the contract because it said it just wasn't worth it. So you can only go out so far, but that's how quickly things are changing. So I would still say annually. It's same thing with your homeowner's insurance, your car insurance. You got to look at these things all the time, because these companies love to get you on board and think you'll never leave. And you don't, because you don't look.
Yep.
Two of the plans didn't have a rate increase for 18 months. And one went up 4%, which is, I think they really
that's reasonable.
They're putting the member first, right? They're saying, they're not just doing it to do it. They're very thoughtful about it. Since I've partnered with them, they have exceeded my expectations. They've added more value, and we've built a relationship. These aren't algorithms, so these are hand selected, high quality plans that meet specific criteria. No annual or lifetime caps, the open network, the easy to understand. Okay, what is my out of pocket if this happens?
It's awesome.
And that's what was important. And again, I thought I was a savvy person that did research for healthcare, and I didn't even know that these plans existed. That's why I launched IndyPop, because there are alternatives out there. There are options, but you have to understand how they work a little bit, because they're different than regular insurance.
Put a little effort in.
There you go. There you go.
Well, thanks so much. We really appreciate you coming on, introducing us to this option and opportunity. I hope a lot of folks reach out to you and reach out to your website, IndyPop, INDIPOP.co, and check it out.
That's it. Of course, you've been caught in the net. This is 216 The Net. We've been with Bill Haase, Innovative Strategies, Mel Blatt from IndyPop, learning all about health insurance, the benefits, financial benefits, things of that nature. To check them out at INDIPOP.co. Come back at 12:30 for questions you never thought you could ask church. And then tonight, Bill, at 7 p.m., our first ever tabletop session. Montana Suede's going to be in. It's a local musician, and he's just going to sit in here and jam, and we're going to talk a little bit for about 45 minutes to an hour. And it's a new series that will be running monthly here at 216 Net to get some local talent out there. So really, really cool. Montana Suede.
Some folks in the studio.
Yeah, yep. There's going to be a live studio audience here as well. So
awesome.
it's going to be cool. So stop back at 12:30 and then stop back tonight, especially at 7 for that. It's going to be really, really cool. So
fantastic.
Mel, we can't thank you enough for joining us this morning. Welcome back anytime, and we will send people to IndyPop.co for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have a wonderful rest of your day, guys. Enjoy the
All
fall.
right.
Thanks so much. Have fun in Austin.
That's it.
Bye.